From its humble beginnings to dominating global box offices, the MCU's journey is nothing short of extraordinary. So, how did a series of interconnected superhero movies evolve into an empire worth billions? Well, buckle up, because we're about to break it all down. In the early 2000s, Marvel wasn't the powerhouse it is today. Despite having a treasure trove of characters, the studio was facing a massive challenge. Marvel had already sold off the film rights to its most famous characters, Spider-Man to Sony, X-Men to Fox, and the Fantastic Four to Universal. This left the company with a variety of less-known characters, Iron Man, Thor, Black Widow, Hawkeye, who were far from household names. But then, in 1996, Marvel took a major gamble. They decided to take control of their film properties and founded Marvel Studios. It was a risky move, one that almost didn't pay off. Marvel didn't have the financial clout to make huge blockbuster films, and they were competing against major studios like Warner Brothers, Universal, and 20th Century Fox. So, what did they do? They pulled off a move that would go down in history. Instead of relying on outside studios, they took the initiative to self-finance their films, starting with Iron Man in 2008. But they didn't just make a superhero movie, they set out to build a universe. When Iron Man hit theaters in 2008, it wasn't just another superhero movie. The film's director, Jon Favreau, and the brilliant casting of Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark set the stage for something monumental. But the true genius of Iron Man wasn't just in the movie itself. It was in the post-credits scene, where Nick Fury, played by Samuel L. Jackson, appeared and talked about the Avengers initiative. This was Marvel's first teaser of the interconnected universe that would ultimately change everything. At the time, no one could have predicted how this single decision would snowball. The concept of a shared universe was revolutionary, and it was about to change everything. After the success of Iron Man, Marvel Studios knew they had something special on their hands. They didn't want to just make standalone films. They wanted to build an entire universe. And so began the slow, careful construction of the MCU. In the next couple of years, we saw the release of The Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 2, Thor, and Captain America, the first Avenger. Each of these films introduced new characters and laid the groundwork for a shared universe. But it was Thor and Captain America that were particularly important. Thor opened up the cosmic side of the MCU, bringing in gods, spacefaring characters, and otherworldly locations. Captain America was crucial because it anchored the entire universe in a real-world historical context, connecting the past and future of the MCU. Then, in 2012, the Avengers hit the big screen. And that's when the world truly saw the genius of Marvel's plan. The Avengers was more than just a superhero team-up movie. It was the culmination of everything Marvel had been building toward for nearly 4 years. The movie brought together Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, Hulk, Black Widow, and Hawkeye in an action-packed, star-studded crossover event that had fans buzzing long before the film's release. At the time, no one had ever seen anything like it. Not only was it a massive spectacle, but it was also the first film to bring together superheroes from multiple movies in a way that felt natural and seamless. The success of the Avengers showed Hollywood that Marvel's interconnected universe wasn't just a gimmick, it was a winning formula. After the success of the Avengers, Phase 2 and Phase 3 were where the MCU really started to hit its stride. Phase 2 expanded the universe further, with films like Guardians of the Galaxy, which introduced audiences to a new set of unlikely heroes with a distinctly different tone. Guardians didn't just break the mold, it shattered it, offering a space adventure filled with humor, heart, and some of the most memorable characters in the MCU, like Rocket Raccoon and Groot. Then came Avengers: Age of Ultron, which took the stakes even higher. Not only did this movie introduce new characters like Vision and Scarlet Witch, but it also set the stage for future storylines involving the Infinity Stones. These tiny gems were scattered throughout the universe, and they were at the heart of the MCU's next major story arc, the quest for the Infinity Gauntlet. But Phase 3, that's when things really got crazy. 2016's Captain America: Civil War saw Iron Man and Captain America on opposite sides of a conflict that divided the Avengers. It was a fight about ideologies, about the place of superheroes in the world, and about personal responsibility. Civil War wasn't just a game changer for the MCU, it changed the way superhero stories were told. Then, in 2018, Avengers: Infinity War set up the ultimate showdown. This was it, the culmination of everything Marvel had been working toward for the past decade. The film brought together nearly every major MCU character to face off against Thanos, a villain unlike any we'd seen before. Thanos wasn't just powerful. He was a force of nature, and his goal was to collect all 6 Infinity Stones to erase half of all life in the universe. And when Infinity War ended, fans were left stunned. The heroes lost. Half the universe was wiped out. The question on everyone's mind, could they reverse it all? That's when Avengers: Endgame hit theaters, and the world collectively held its breath. Endgame was more than just a movie, it was an event. It wrapped up storylines from over 20 films, gave emotional payoffs to beloved characters, and ultimately delivered one of the most epic and satisfying endings in cinematic history. Endgame didn't just break records, it shattered them. It became the highest-grossing film of all time, surpassing Avatar. But the MCU wasn't done yet. No, Endgame marked the conclusion of one era, but also the beginning of a new one. After Endgame, the world was left wondering, what's next for the MCU? Could Marvel possibly top what they'd just achieved? Well, Phase 4 was proof that the MCU was still capable of surprises. The first post-Endgame movie, Black Widow, was a long-awaited solo film for Natasha Romanoff. But it wasn't just about wrapping up her character arc. It set the stage for a new direction, particularly with the introduction of Yelena Belova, Natasha's sister, who would play a key role in future films and series. Then there was Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, which introduced audiences to a brand new hero with an entirely fresh vibe. The movie was a blend of martial arts action, family drama, and a touch of fantasy, and it kicked off a wave of new talent and stories coming into the MCU. Perhaps the most exciting aspect of Phase 4, however, was the expansion into television. WandaVision, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and Loki all debuted on Disney+, offering fans the opportunity to dive deeper into these characters' stories while simultaneously building new plot threads for the MCU's next big chapter. And of course, there was Spider-Man: No Way Home, which didn't just bring together Tom Holland's Spider-Man, but also Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield's versions of the character. This movie wasn't just a nostalgic romp. It was a perfect example of how Marvel was building a multiverse that allowed them to do virtually anything with their characters. It was a game changer, and it set the stage for the next phase of the MCU. So, what does the future hold for the MCU? Well, Phase 5 is already in full swing, and it's clear that Marvel isn't slowing down anytime soon. With films like Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, and the upcoming The Marvels, Captain America, New World Order, and Thunderbolts, the MCU is continuing to expand and evolve. One of the most exciting things about Phase 5 is the focus on the multiverse. After Spider-Man, No Way Home, and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, it's clear that the MCU is preparing for a massive multiversal battle in the coming films. The multiverse opens up endless possibilities, from introducing new versions of familiar characters to exploring alternate realities and new threats. And then, of course, there are the newly acquired properties, the X-Men and the Fantastic Four. Now that Marvel has regained the film rights to these iconic franchises, fans are eagerly awaiting their introduction into the MCU. With mutants and new superhero teams, Marvel's next big chapter is already set to take things to a whole new level. So, how did the MCU become the biggest film franchise of all time? It's a combination of visionary planning, bold risks, unforgettable characters, and an incredible ability to evolve and adapt. Marvel Studios built a universe that people could emotionally invest in, time and time again. It wasn't just about making blockbuster movies, it was about creating a global phenomenon that has redefined what's possible in cinema. And the best part? We're only getting started. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the MCU's journey, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more content like this. Let me know your thoughts on the MCU's success in the comments. What do you think the future holds? Until next time.